Roy Cannaday here, and I'm going to be doing a rapid fire roundup of a bunch of games that I've played that I'm going to do short little snippet reviews giving you my opinion on those games. I'm going to get the best game out of the way here first, just because some of these games are not my favorite, but this first one is amazing here, and this is MindBug. MindBug is a game by Richard Garfield where you're basically just trying to knock your opponent out of 3 hit points. I really enjoyed this. I gave it a 9.5. The trick of the game is the fact of everybody's just playing one creature down or attacking with one creature, but anytime a player plays a creature, you can steal that creature with a MindBug. You can only do this twice per game. Just trying to get that tempo advantage to be able to figure out how you can go through. There's a ton of keywords on these, but they're very familiar from Magic the Gathering. I really enjoy Magic overall. This basically takes out the whole land thing of Magic, putting stuff down, just trying to knock your opponents out with crazy, like I really enjoy the artwork. It's very zany, very small. The game is a very small package and you can play it quickly. So 8.5 for me. Definitely enjoyed MindBug. The next one here is Portals. This is a pattern building game where you're drafting these different like Mentos shaped things. We had Azul that had the Starburst shaped things. These are like Mentos. What candy is going to be next as like an acrylic token thing that we can have in a game? But you're basically trying to put these patterns out. You have these boards in between each player, so you're kind of like taking up the different spaces on the board. You can kind of look at your opponent and be like, oh, well, maybe they're going through for this pattern or that pattern. You're never really quite 100% sure. But this game just fell flat for me. Overall, I gave this a 4. It wasn't the worst game ever, but it was very kind of like mundane the way you're kind of building out the patterns, gaining the points. I thought the components were really nice. And I don't mind like trying to like outthink my opponent as far as like, oh, I'm going to draft this or draft that. But the interaction was kind of minimal because it's like you had 2 different pools to draft from. So it was like wherever there was more of, or I had an opportunity, I would just be like, well, there's 2 there. I know I'm going to have access to 1, at least this next round. But if they take one of those 2, then I better jump on it. There's not a whole lot of decision space there, but you're trying to figure out how to do those patterns. The scoring was super wonky. We played with the powers as well, which just made it more take that-y, where people could mess up your patterns, which was kind of annoying, where I would take an action, do something, and the other player would take an action to just mess up, undo the thing that I just did. It's like, yeah, not that great of a game overall. And then the next one here is Krackin Skull. This is a pirate-themed game where you're kind of like going around in a circle with your ship, trying to bury treasure and get points, get infamy and fame by like killing the Kraken or attacking the other guys. This game is just insanely random. I like the theme. I like kind of like the components were nice for the game as well. But it was just overall, it just ended up feeling like a take that fest as we're kind of like just forced to roll dice, forced to attack each other to be in the same space. We were playing with a lot of players, which might have made a difference because like you were always fighting someone, or always this was happening, or always that. It felt like the game was playing you more than you were playing the game, and I don't really typically enjoy that. I was throwing out combat cards just to see what would happen. The game was meh. Overall, I'm giving that one a 3. And the next one, we played another pirate game, which was even worse. So this is Pirate's Flag, which is literally just you rolling a die to move down a track one way. You pick up cards along the way that can kind of help you manipulate that a teeny bit. And you try to grab a flag at the end, and then you're going back and fighting over the flag the whole way back. Whoever gets back off the board wins the game. Very take that as you're playing cards, stealing the flag back and forth, rolling the die to attack each other back and forth. You have some cards that can kind of be tricky or whatever. This game is, it's very just roll and move, take that. That's it. So I'm giving it a 2. Very meh for me. And then the next one's another good game. Yes, finally another good game. This is Radlands. Radlands, you have all these different post-apocalyptic characters with amazing art, and you're getting these characters and playing them out onto the board. You have your water, which is your resources. You're trying to protect your little bases. It's not really like lane attacking, but the things you have in front are protecting the things behind them. So you're trying to like set up your tableau in the correct way. I like the fact that the events you play are kind of like timed. And you have these raiders. It's an event that you can play pretty easily, and a lot of your other cards will help you play the raiders out as well, and then just continue to do damage to your opponent's base. So it adds like a little timer to the game if somebody's able to spam that out. Definitely an enjoyable game. I give Raiders a 7.5. I definitely enjoyed that one, or Radlands, a 7.5. Raiders in Redlands. But yeah, and then the next one here is the worst game of the day, I think, for sure, and this is Keepsakes. This is basically Simon and Memory, where basically you have these different cards that you're putting out that say you have to remember something. Like it'll be like, oh, say your favorite food. Oh, say something that you lost. Oh, say your grandmother's maiden name. Oh, say your favorite color. And then everybody puts one of these things down and they're going to do it each time, like your favorite band, whatever. and everybody has to keep repeating the pattern, like, okay, sushi, blue, red, like whatever, all these different things over and over and over again. And it turns into this long strand of memory, and you're just trying to do this. The trick is that things start flipping face down, and then some of the cards will just be like, touch the card, and you're not actually saying stuff. And then it has all of these activities like put the box on your head, or do it like while running around the table. There's all sorts of wacky, silly stuff that you end up having to do in this game to get keepsakes, which are your points. This is just not enjoyable for me, this kind of game. I guess maybe some people will find it silly and fun, but like the memory aspect of it was pretty meh, and the whole thing was just, we laughed at the game a lot, but we hated it at the same time. So this is definitely getting a 2 from me. Next one here is a Reiner Knizia game called Zombie Mania, which is just chucking dice and trying to like press your luck a teeny bit. There's not a whole lot of pressure luck into it. I gave it a 4. You're basically trying to get rid of all of the zombies and put them in the middle board, and by rolling the dice, and it's very like minimal. You're just getting either like 1 zombie or 2 zombies. You have to have at least 2 of the same dice, and you have to like, at least have the gravestone to be able to bury them. And if you don't get the gravestone and don't have at least 2, if you ever roll and can't keep a zombie, then you bust. And there's not a whole lot of decisions. It's pretty obvious when you stop, and sometimes you just get unlucky and just roll very poorly and never roll a tombstone, so you can never bury zombies. It was a pretty meh game, but it wasn't like bad. It was like a time passer game. I think Zombie Dice, which is kind of like very similar style game, is just strictly better than this one. So Zombie Mania is a 4 for me. And then Manhattan, another good game. This is an area control game where you're building up these skyscrapers. Basically, you have cards on them that allow you to put the skyscrapers on different places on the little board. And each card you can choose which location you're going to do. You want to either have the tallest tower, which will give you points. You want to have the most in a tower in an area, which will give you points as well. So you're trying to figure out how to area control those, and only the thing on the very top of the building counts. So you're trying to figure out how to use your cards to get those area controls and kind of control those different like districts in the Manhattan there. And it's a very interesting game of going back and forth and kind of like disguising your intentions a little bit. It's like, okay, I know I want to steal that area, and I have a card that's gonna let me put a piece on top of their piece, which will flip the district into my zone, but I don't want to play it yet because they're winning the game currently, so I want to do this to kind of swing it into my favor. We played this 3 players, which normally in an area control game you would think was hard because it's like you're just going after the leader, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed Manhattan, and I gave it a 7. The last one here is Ostia. This is I think it's a very solid game with a rondel mechanic of moving your little ships around and doing the whole shipping thing and getting the goods in and trying to upgrade your little rondel and then trying to build more ships and build buildings to give you more abilities. You're running down these tracks trying to get to the end to get victory points. And I think the game overall is extremely solid, and I think a lot of people that love Euro-style games are going to find it super interesting. But for me, it's not a game that I would want to go back to over and over again. All the information is pretty readily apparent, so you can automatically see at the beginning of the game, and there's not as much for me to discover over and over again. If somebody really, really wanted to play it, I would play it. I would probably rather play Crusaders, which has a very similar rondel mechanic that you're upgrading compared to this one, because it has a little bit of combat in it. I enjoy combat in my Euro games, even though that's very deterministic combat. But this one is just straight up, build your ships out, ship them down the line, get to the end first, and try to win. There is cool building up of stuff, which I do enjoy, but overall, it's not a game that I'm going to come back to over and over again, and that is Ostia. Well, that is a whole bunch of games, a mixed bag. Some really good games I love, like MindBug, and some games you should definitely stay away from, the ones that I rated it to. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you for checking out my video here, and make sure to let me know down below which games you enjoyed on this list or which games you would be willing to try. And hey, maybe you want to have some memory and just memorize things over and over again. And then laugh when somebody has the box fall off their head. Don't do it. Anyway, I've been Roy Cannaday. I'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video on the Dice Tower. Hey, do you want to know what's going on with Dice Tower? Do you want to know about our events, our cruises, special things that we're going to do live here in the Dice Tower? Subscribe to Dice Tower Digest. Go to dicetowerdigest.com. It's a newsletter that we send out bi-weekly. We won't use your email for anything else. This is just to get you some information about the Dice Tower so you'll be up to date. Thanks for watching.